Can you dream? It's a book I started writing when I was 19 years old. Without getting too complicated, the book is about a couple in a girl's mind that kill bad people. This body of work explores why Donna, a black female, second generation Jamaican Canadian, wrote a book about killing bad people. There is a character where there is a suicide of 7 people in a ballroom due to the abuse of their chakras. Chakras led me down the way of organ systems and the endocrine system, as well as the colors of the wavelength to follow the chakras. The concept people murdered. So the concept of people murdered in a ballroom gave me an elitist perspective. The concept of people murdered in a ballroom gave me an elitist perspective, giving a direction to Freemasonry, ultimately leading to bishops, CEOs, and the structure of the U.S. cabinet. From that point, the rest is history. I'm exploring how these systems are related and connected, revealing how an organism, our systems, are very much the same. This will be done predominantly through the number of 8 or 4. I'll be presenting the stages of the pyramid and the similarities that each topic has in relation to the positions they are in the pyramid. So going to the topics that I'm choosing. It's going to start with chakras. And again, there's 8. I created an 8th one when comparing it, like I said, to the glands and to the systems of the body. I recognize that there wasn't the urinary system, so I added that. So that's Risra. I went over to color. I found the spectrum of wavelengths. On that, there's the colors. So the colors are in the center. There's 6 of them. And then outside of it is UV, before visible light, followed by infrared. Infrared, I believe infrared, visible light, and then UV. So, yeah. That's where I got the colors from. Then looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, generally aesthetics isn't a part of it, but I included aesthetics to it, making it again, turning it again into 8. Then I looked at the Egyptian concepts of the soul. That came in place when I started researching Freemasonry. I got into fraternities, and with the fraternities it led to Grimoires, and then from there it led to the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead is kind of talks about these several pieces of the soul that need to be like wrapped up and taken care of and like in good positions and good standing in order to get into the afterlife. Then it's going to be followed by sins. So with sins, I put pride and vanity together. When it came to pride, it's more about, it relates to our opinions of ourselves, whereas vanity is what we have others think of us. So again, a dichotomy of the same thing. So that came together, and I also added despair, which was one of the perhaps 8th sin out of the 7 that was not a part of the list. Then I went over to glands, so the endocrine system. So that's just dealing with the several levels in our body that need to get certain hormones from parts of our brain and other organs in order to function. So again, kind of how a system works, how a society works, followed by the systems, so the bodily systems. So again, these are the main organs. Again, I was able to find 8. With the glands, there was the thymus that I got to include. Yeah, which is not really a part of the endocrine system, but the thymus is a part of the, what's the word, kind of dealing with nodes, lymph nodes and stuff like that, the lymphatic system. Yeah. And then I ended it with you. So my name means to make or to give, and I kind of started it thinking around what are other things we do, take, love, we are, like, what else? So I added all of those and made it 8 as well. So that's like the main structure. Again, there's 8 of those, 8 topics, chakras, colors, Maslow, the soul, sins, glands, systems, and you. So that's 8. So that's just going to be the first video for now, and then I'll get on to the next video. Okay, so now we're talking about the second option of 8. So there's 2 packages, so to speak, or 2 main like themes, for lack of a better word. Like the first one with chakras, colors, Maslow's, the soul, sins, glands, systems, and you. Besides glands and systems, all of them were kind of ideas we've come up with and creations, inventions, theologies that we've created that all seem to have a similarity. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs ever so slightly looks pretty familiar to chakras in its own way. So things like that. And then, so we're moving to the next one. It's going to be more about society, and again, how they're similar. So I have factors of production, which is just 4, kind of a little cop-out, but still a list. There's enterprise. So enterprise is, well, I don't have to go through all of it, but enterprise, labor, capital, and land. So with factors of production, I just recognized during my studies and things like that, that when it came to the Black community, we seem to be owned specifically for factors of production from one generation to the next. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, it's just factors of production through economics. I took a few economics courses, so I know a little bit about that. Then it goes on to grimoires. So with the grimoires, like, long story short, I suppose. So again, during my hunt of Freemasonry and specifically fraternities, spent quite a bit of time looking into fraternities, I realized that there's a similarity going on that's similar to wealthy people having something to do with the Lesser Key of Solomon. And through my studies of the Lesser Key of Solomon, I realized that there's these 4 processes that need to happen in order to control someone. And again, there's been shows or something, or the idea is that there is a cultish kind of thing that fraternities do. That are similar to that book, The Lesser Key of Solomon, and its extension, so to speak. Then I went on to industry. So industries were just, again, talking about land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Just what are some things that as a society we own, and what industries do we work in? That's followed by division. So I believe that to like 1,000%, divide and conquer is the greatest way to fight a group of people, in regards to the idea that we are being controlled by a group of people, and for whatever reason will derail into our division between one another, and kind of like lose focus, lose lose direction as to where we were coming from. So yeah, I just recognized that a lot, and so I put in division, and it just brings up the levels of discrimination. Again, I was able to get it into 8, which was awesome. The same with the industries, which is really, really cool. Well, not the industries, like I was able to group the industries into 8, say, subcategories. Then going on to the Egyptian social pyramid. So again, I've seen that online so much, and you kind of just see the peasants or the slaves at the bottom, and it goes up, and it starts, and at the top it's a pharaoh. So just added that, and then, and again, it's interesting that Egyptian is coming up again. And then we'll go to the next, to New World Order, which has a vaguely similar kind of system. And then we'll go to the cabinet of the U.S. cabinet. So during my research, kind of going through Freemasonry and fraternities, specifically fraternities, I saw that a lot of presidents and people of the U.S. cabinet and CEOs have all been in fraternities during the 80s, 70s, and so forth. So yeah, I looked into the U.S. cabinet, and I was able to identify what some of these topics were, and again, they fell into, say, certain industries in its own way. Then I went over to companies, and I was able to say, there's what the government says it's taking care of, and look at the similarities there are with the companies that kind of own everything, and its similarity with industries. And again, going back and looking at things like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and things like that, you kind of see how it begins with like the basic necessities in life, like the things that Earth gives you without even asking for anything back, that's sort of co-opted up into like more symbolic concepts. So yeah, so that's everything. Again, it'll be coming out to whatever extent into groups, and my idea is to kind of present my psychology. I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30. I've been to university twice. I'm in a lot of debt. You know what I mean? I'm in an interesting world and everything like that. And my perspective and the things that I watch and the things that I consume, I've gathered like so many videos and things like that. So I want to present like some of the videos that I've seen. And then I want to put over what I've written, some of the art that I've written. And a lot of the art that I've written is very, it's very like poetic, and it's in prose, and you know what I mean? It's this dark poetry, so to speak. And as I said, it's very much focused on me or my characters, or an extension of me. My book is me. This is what I've written as I've consumed through life and been a part of life. This is what I've created. And it's just like juxtaposing the news I'm watching and these clips and parts of the book, that not only am I killing people or are my characters killing people in it, but specifically that that this is something that came out of me. You know what I mean? I don't find myself to be a violent person. I don't do any crazy activities. I don't play around with death or something. I'm not a violent person and things like that. I've never killed anything, don't want to kill anything, etc. But I love horror movies. And I've written this horror book, this horror fantasy dreamy book, and I just want to juxtapose those two pieces of art and everything I've made. And then there's this that I want to present to everyone, and then I'll have books that I'm selling. So I'll have my main book, Can You Dream, which there's a few sections, not versions, but a few different books, anywhere from 4 to 8 in my mind. So that's something that I want to present. I want to present some books that are dealing with the environment, and some essays I've written about The American Fraternity by Andrew Moisey. This is between 2000 to 2008 in Berkeley University. Extending from the door to the head of the coffin, where the beta shall stand. The candidate shall be caused to advance to the foot of the coffin, and the beta shall say, "Behold and ponder, well, the end of man." The candidate, his wrists bound together with a cord, his hands palm to palm, shall be placed in the coffin from which the relic shall have been removed, and the lid fixed thereon in silence. A funeral procession shall then be formed, and the coffin borne in the direction of the sun 3 times about the lodge, while the beta shall recite or chant, "Man that is born of woman is of few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth as a flower and is cut down. He fadeth away and suddenly, like the grass. In the morning it is green and groweth upon, but in the evening it is cut down, dried up and withered. For man walketh in a vain shadow. This, my brother, is the ancient teaching. Behold now the more excellent law. The gates of death are the portals of life. The accord dies and the oak is born. From the chrysalis rises the butterfly. So it is with man. All say amen, amen, and amen. So the coffin shall then be lowered as if it were into a grave,